Welcome to the Lean Mobile Apps Podcast, where we ditch the hype and expose real-life stories that build today's successful startups. From actionable strategies to massive failures to pure kick-ass startup tech, get it all here on the Lean Mobile Apps Podcast. Without further ado, here are your hosts, Monty and Andrea.
Hey, this is Monty and Andrea with the Lean Mobile Apps Podcast for Startup Hour, and we have our featured cybersecurity expert, Laszlo Levente. So,
thanks for inviting me.
Of course, you're here. You're our weekly guest for cybersecurity, and we love you. We appreciate all the wonderful information you have to share with us, and I guess we should get started, right?
Yeah, this week some pretty big companies were breached. Some pretty big vulnerabilities were disclosed, and many things fall apart. So let's start with just quickly round up. There was an Amazon customer support backdoor. They can pretty much give out any information about you, not your card number and your card password or like super secure stuff, but your email, your name, where you live, where the stuff was delivered to, and pretty much everything. Not your bank card. That's something they can't. But yeah, it's pretty serious. Amazon is fixing it right now.
So it gives out privacy information, or just email?
Email and actually what you bought, what you ordered. You can cancel stuff in the name of someone if you want. So their support is kind of not so precisely built up.
Okay.
What's interesting about Amazon also is that they have, I think one of the interesting things is if I buy something for, let's say, other people, which I've done before, on the device, let's say the Kindle Fire, for instance, they put your information on those devices. And it's kind of a challenge to even switch it from your information to their information when you're buying it.
The address, right? Sometimes you send it to your friends.
Well, not even just that. Like, let's say you bought it and you wanted to give it away as a gift. Well, when they log on and we start to use the devices, it automatically has preset your information. And so again, a breach like this impacts a lot of those different devices that you might get and give away as gifts. Because one of the things we're actually doing is giving away stuff, and that's a challenge if you're buying it under your account or on your device.
Yeah, it's actually a common problem at large e-commerce stores to have a bad support and to have support that gives out information to anyone without authorization, because they trust logged in users. So they see that the guy is logged in. Okay, he's for sure trusted. They shouldn't trust them because it's not how it works.
And I think the sad thing about it is most people say it's pretty safe to use Amazon, which I guess is safer than some sites. But
well, the safest now, I think. Just to confirm my statement that it's the safest right now from the large e-commerce stores. eBay, there was a pretty big security flaw in eBay, and people could put a malware and phish the information of people using it. It's a chained access attack for those who care about security stuff, and it comes from the company's iOS and Android mobile apps.
Wow.
So it's not a very bad or very super hard to exploit. So it was a big problem. Like on Tuesday, I'm going in chronological order, by the way. So Amazon was on Monday, I think, and then eBay was on Tuesday.
Isn't eBay, doesn't PayPal own eBay or something like that?
No, the other way around.
PayPal and eBay, parted ways.
Oh, they parted ways? Okay. That makes me feel better.
But it was the other way around. Like eBay acquired PayPal, and then they just
Yeah, like last, I think October or December, I don't know. Anyway, some more security issues because more is coming.
And for the record, we will be at PayPal this summer, or rather, it might be eBay. I'm not really sure which one, but we'll be there.
See, you're confused just like me.
Well, they're confused because when I went there,
I'm joking.
it was the
I'm
eBay
joking.
headquarters, but it has the headquarters has PayPal on one side and eBay on the other side, but it's the same building. So if you come in one side, you're looking at the PayPal stuff. You come to the other side, it's the eBay stuff. Either way, they're in the same building. But when we get there, we'll figure out.
Yeah, well, next up is old printers, like from the 2010s and stuff, and the years like that. Many printers have an inbuilt memory for processing the files and documents you send it to them. It's not a big memory, but it's suitable to just print malware on your network. So if you have a very old printer, contact your the builder of the printer, for example HP and many HP LaserJet, which was a pretty good printer. I think we had one at home, and also enterprise printers. So they already have updates for this, but it's better to like contact them because it won't just automatically download. These are not connected to the internet.
This is a great point because one of the insurance agencies that I know, they were asking me how do I ensure that my network is secure. I said, get with your IT person. I have no idea, didn't know. But they're saying, what are the things? Yeah, they're saying, what are the basic things I need to know? I said, open ports. Do you have any open ports? And I'm like, I have no idea. So
yeah, it's actually the first thing I always scan. When the last podcast was, there was, I forgot the name. There was a guy who had a WordPress site, and I pretty much freaked him out. I think I didn't mean to.
What happened?
I just found some pretty insecure open ports on his server, and actually that's why I asked the question. So I know that if he thinks he's secured or not. He thought he was secured, but he was actually not secured. So I just thought it's better to notify him. We'll probably get back to this. Anyway, if you have just to get back to the main point, if you have an old printer or like not internet connected printer, because internet connected printers will immediately update themselves, then contact your support because it can be a huge problem later on.
So what are they, just going off point, is WordPress as secure in terms of a website platform, or are there certain things, I know it's not secure, so are there certain things you would do?
The problem with WordPress is it's secure when an update comes out. It's right now the newest version is secure, but it's in theory not secure because like tomorrow or some days after tomorrow, a guy will discover a vulnerability and then they will give out another update. And if you miss those updates and if you don't update for just like 2 months, then your whole platform can be breached with a WordPress blog. Even with a hidden small WordPress blog, I have seen sites that were breached because they didn't take care of, because, well, who will actually look at it? And we use another blog engine and that's just running on the server, nothing is happening, it's just 1 year old, it should be secure, and then the whole server was breached.
So this is what companies like what is that WordPress hosting company?
I'm not sure what you mean.
WP, no, not the host.
Anyway, if you host it at with many other sites at dedicated WordPress hosting, it's secure because they get the updates from the day zero. But then you have conflict problems with your themes, with your system files, etc. So the problem is that people don't update because they think it will break their front end, for example. Yeah, and exactly. It can happen.
So are you saying that with the WordPress site, you should, like if you're a business, you should not have shared hosting. Is that correct?
What do you mean? You should
No,
have
he
set it
was
up for
saying.
yourself.
No, what he's saying is that WordPress has a lot of vulnerabilities because of the fact that it's not managed properly. It's not updated when it needs to be updated.
Mhm.
And sites like WP Engine, which manage WordPress hosting for you, I think that takes into account security, whereas the startup who is focusing on their business might miss the update that's necessary for both plugins and the actual WordPress source code, right?
Yeah. It's exactly what I was talking about.
But I still go back to the same.
Anyway.
I guess my biggest question on the same vulnerability is, let's say I'm a startup and I'm doing all my plugins properly and I'm making sure my WordPress is operating at optimal efficiency, but I'm on a shared hosting account with someone or, 10 other people. I don't necessarily know who's on the shared hosting, but it's a shared hosting account and they don't update their plugins. The person has access to their plugins on our shared hosting server. Does that mean I'm now vulnerable because I have a shared hosting as opposed to dedicated hosting?
Well, they shouldn't because these are, these WordPress sites aren't connected to each other. They only have the common hardware under them, but they are usually running virtual machines separated and they are secured. So if there are some pretty big WordPress hostings, they shouldn't have any problem if someone doesn't find a direct vulnerability on their main server, which is the root server, because these are just virtual WordPress sites, virtual machines, and hackers can just get out from one virtual machine to another. That's impossible right now.
Interesting.
Anyway, the next news. Chinese phones, MediaTek phones like LG and Samsung and others are pretty much got hacked.
Look at Monty's face, Lazo. He's like, I'm so done with these phones. I'm done with everything.
I'm done with Android. Like Android, I'm over it by far. Even though BlackBerry has a phone out right now, but nobody's buying it. I was actually at a phone store just recently, and they had the coolest phone in the store.
Monty, I don't want to make you feel super bad right now, but I will have an OS X vulnerability in a second, so that I will tell you.
Don't go there. No, don't do that. I already deleted Spotify.
I will. So yeah, back to the Android one. It's super easy to hack Android phones which are running a certain type of processor, and the update is not yet ready. It was discovered on Wednesday and they couldn't yet update phones, and probably they won't, if they don't update Android 4.0 or older Android phones, the big manufacturers, then it will be there and it will remain there, and it can pretty much give super user rights to the attacker. So he can see what you are up to, what you are doing, where are you. He can execute remote code on your Android device. Pretty bad.
Wow.
Yeah. So this week happened. Should I jump right to the Mac OS X?
No, take your time here.
Okay.
Okay, jump into the Mac. I need to know.
Really?
Acceptance is key. That's good.
Yeah, so Flash vulnerability was discovered. Not really a Flash, but a fake Flash updater. And it can be implemented not just as a Flash updater, but as anything, actually, like update your Java, update your, your browser, update anything. And if you click on that, which pretty much looks like a normal pop-up, and you just click OK and don't close the window, then you are infected.
So it's a normal push notification that you would see on your device when you're actually, you open your phone.
No,
this is desktop, right?
This is desktop. This is macOS, yeah.
Oh, really?
And the problem is in browser, it looks like you know, when those alert messages come up from the browser to like save your work or something like that, it looks exactly like that. I looked into it from a Mac, so I was pretty worried too, but I wanted to test how these things work. And yeah, I looked at it because on Linux and on Windows, nothing shows up. It's just a blank page. But when you open it from Mac, these pop-ups show up, and you can actually defend yourself by directly clicking the X on the tab, so closing the browser tab and not like clicking the OK and then closing the browser tab.
So what if I accidentally click the OK? Because routinely when I see that, I'm like, oh, okay, that's it.
Apple is working on an update. Right now, you are infected.
What?
That's the sad news.
Don't say that.
So
Sounds sad.
that's a good question because
Really
I don't remember
scary.
saying anything like that. But I usually I click the X and then say later for everything until I take it to the store.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, you guys look at this. Or I go to the hackathon and start talking to people that actual hackers and say, hey.
What did you do to my computer?
Yeah, the next step is an LG vulnerability. It's like the biggest this year in mobile phones. Not even the MediaTek was this big, because all LG phones are right now vulnerable, and they are not yet updated.
You said all
So-
Android phones?
No, all LG phones.
Oh, LG.
Yeah, and it's very easy to exploit. It's basically like DDoSing a site or something. Even the workflow to get there is almost the same. And it again, notifications. Last week, a notification, if you remember, Andrea, we talked about that LG had a birthday notification thing that could be exploited.
I remember that.
Now all notifications can be exploited on LG.
Oh my
So
goodness.
I don't want to be an LG engineer right now.
Wow. Even external SD cards. Wow, so even things that are external to the phone can be attacked.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, to the next one, which was actually not the biggest hack of this week, but like the biggest facepalm, or how to say these things. I was a bit worried because kids' toys got exploited, and many kids' toys use the same hardware, and they are pretty much exploitable, and people can take advantage of it and communicate with your kid and stuff like that. So I was super worried that what are these toys and how to patch these. And companies are just declining and telling that, oh, that company used it and that company was the one who put this security hole in that, and they don't even know what is going on. So it's absurd.
It's kid stories, you said?
It's kid toys.
Wow.
What kind of kid toys? Just out of curiosity.
Like
Fisher-Price.
hardware toys that are connected to the internet, to the Wi-Fi.
So
What
Even,
about robots?
So I have a kid. I have a toy that's connected to the internet, and this toy can be a breach to my router, which then can be a breach to the computer. Is that how it goes, or is it?
Actually, yeah, it can be. So you better, like, what kind of toy do you have? Maybe I can look it up and just see if it's vulnerable.
Well, the one I'm thinking about is the Spiro. It's the
I'm not sure if I know what it is, but let's talk about this after show. Just mail me. I write down my mail.
Mm-hmm.
So next up.
Let's see.
Okay, Andrea.
Okay, we'll just talk about it later because we both have kids. We're just like, how do we?
yeah. When you say the
And
kid
I'm
toys
like-
thing, it's like, hold up, that's serious.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, PS3, my children are not allowed to, or PS4 or whatever, they're not allowed to accept any requests from other people just because I have no idea what's going on. And they're kind of like, "You're so old school, Mom." I said, "No, I don't know why someone wants to talk to a 7-year-old, so we're just going to say no, you know."
Yeah,
And
and actually, the worst thing is that with these toys, hackers can kind of communicate with kids, and it can be used against them
Very
too.
interesting.
So, and naturally, a kid always trusts a toy, so that's something which is very dangerous to play with.
it's like an ice cream truck, although it's like the new
Right.
version of an ice cream truck.
That's kind of scary. That's really, really scary. And when you think about the fact that that could be the way people get into your system or your computer.
Yeah, not just your system or your computer. It's the smallest problem, but your kids' actions. So yeah, I was very worried when I was reading these news. Next up.
All this happened
It's,
last week? Like this all happened in 1 week?
Yeah. Only last week. We are at Wednesday now, I think. I was ordering these in order. Anyway, well, Malwarebytes, a huge antivirus creator firm who is going against viruses, started a project, and it was meant to provide security for people, but actually it has more flaws than their antivirus. So I'm not sure what they're up to and what they want. It got out to the internet super early, and like Google's security research lab found many vulnerabilities in their code.
You know, what's interesting to me about the malware stuff is I know Norton's made a killing on it, and I can't think of the other company. But, you know, Intel has a security company. I think they acquired somebody when I was out there a couple of years ago, and they had just like an Intel division that was Intel Security. And I was curious how they're actually managing it, considering, you know, they're creating the chips to begin with. So if there's embedded security on the chips, that might help.
Well, it pretty much depends on the software, because hardware is okay. I'm not a hardware guy. I have never ever tried to hack like a microchip or something like that. I'm into software, and I know in depth how softwares can be exploited. But these chips have some very basic software too, and it's better to check twice if it's not like have a vulnerability or something not exploitable. Anyway, the next is that I've actually forgot about, but right now I noticed in my notes that WordPress vulnerability was disclosed this week too, on Wednesday.
Okay.
So just because we talked about it, WordPress actually updated it very fast, but it can be still there in like all their WordPress releases and those who run software from Tuesday and not from Wednesday night.
So every startup needs a webmaster. I mean, I'm really clear on that right now. Like you have to have someone.
Not just a webmaster, but a webmaster who really follows the news.
Very true.
And actually, not just a webmaster. It's a webmaster can't correct code. A security analyst can tell where the problem in code exactly is, and where to find it and how to find it and how to correct those problems in theory. And then the programmers can just develop an algorithm to correct those vulnerabilities. So it's always good to like periodically in every 3 months or 6 months hire a security analyst. Even if you run a small startup, then your code base is not that big. You don't have like 150 servers that many governments have that I worked with, and then it's just basically one server that a security analyst needs to look into. So it's always good to hire one.
Yeah, we gotta talk offline, as we always say we have to.
Yeah.
We definitely have to talk offline. because I got some stuff that we have to go over. It's not even we have to internally, but externally, it just made me think about some of the people I know who have worked like pseudo government agencies that have WordPress sites, and I know they have an external IT team that is lethargic to some degree. So it's interesting because I've seen how they don't necessarily they don't know how to fix basic problems. So I know they're not necessarily updating their WordPress system as often as it. Matter of fact, the regular employees are not updating their WordPress site, let alone their WordPress hardware system. Yeah, and the interesting part about that is, and again, these pseudo government agencies have access to very critical information. Like they have privacy policies and the entire approach to say, okay, everyone needs to sign this privacy policy. You can't get rid of information. You can't, give out this stuff. Yet and still, as Laszlo said, the passwords might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for everything.
Yeah,
and
that's not the biggest thing. I mean, many people know that. By right now, I'm very happy that people know that 1, 2, 3, 4 is not the best password ever. So by now, even grandmas understand it, and it's good. Yeah. But many people still make stupid mistakes on the server side, like open ports and stuff like that. It's crazy how many people do these mistakes. And actually, some sites I'll just randomly look up and see what I can find, so if it's really secure or not. And most of the time I find some little issues, not big ones, but last week I was talking to an Uber employee, and Uber was meant to be pretty secure. Well, I could find their inner VPN that workers connected to the local network from outside Uber, and it was running Juniper software, and I'm not sure if it's basically a VPN management software. You can access the internal network from outside Uber. So I was looking into it, and I found something that I think can be exploited, but I didn't have time to take a deep look at it. I was working a lot. It was crazy because it was there, and people could use it against Uber and Uber people. Maybe I just found some random thing that is not even exploitable, but in most of the time I'm right. So I will research on this.
I like hearing that you're right most of the time.
Exactly. So they were using Juniper like you would use Citrix to get access to.
Yeah.
What is it? Something like something to do with sonar or something like that technology? When a Citrix
I'm
product?
not sure. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Never mind. I was thinking about something to do with that technology, but it's totally okay. I was off subject with my daughter, so she's all like, "Oh, I'm just gonna bend it over and all kind of stuff." I'm like, okay, let's move forward.
Next thing that can.
That's my security issue right now. Scoot over, honey. Okay.
So next up is a link I just dropped in. It's not actually new issue because it can happen to.
Have you have it?
It's just,
that's funny.
It's just pretty random. Well, someone sent random message to someone, and the important thing is that they attached a zip file with a PDF.zip file. And it was basically a malware in it, and you can just click PDF and .zip files in mails from untrusted sources, because even PDF files can be very, very easily exploited.
Wow! So PDF files could actually be something.
Yeah, PDF is a huge security problem because it's in the system, and it provides features like comments on PDF files. So you can't really you can't really like do anything against it. And even Adobe, if they wanted, they couldn't do anything against it because they needed to cut down features if they wanted to tackle these problems. So the best thing you can do is like scan the files. Always scan the files. There are services for these that pre-scan your mail and look into it.
So what the interesting thing about it is Adobe has its Java and then it's PDF, and would you say
Adobe and Java are two different things.
Oh, is this a different thing? It's not Adobe and
No, it's JavaScript that could be put into a PDF file like in the end that you don't really notice, and it can run code on your system because you launched that file. Everything you double click on or like open is executed on your system, on Mac, on Linux, on Windows. Linux just has a better way to monitor what is executed and to really ask for every permission. Mac and Windows are not that secure because it would be slower to get to things. And the first thing at these platforms is business, and to get to your business and do your business as fast as you can. So these platforms are not naturally secure enough. And yeah, even Mac can be with some user problems and with some user malfunctions, to say that, even Mac can be exploited by you, by your psychology, by your brain. So in privacy section, because we are done with this week's vulnerabilities, this was all.
That was all vulnerability. That's scary.
Yeah.
That is.
Let's jump to privacy. Yeah, let's jump to privacy section right now.
Wait, before you go to privacy, I got one vulnerability question and validation point. I saw one. I was at the store literally today looking for a new phone because I'm always looking for a new phone. I was looking for a new phone.
Me too.
And I saw an app. It was a BlackBerry Privia, and the Privia was like a touchscreen device, like a regular, the newer phone, bigger screen, touchscreen. And then you could actually have a keyboard behind it. Now, the BlackBerry that you have, I know, is that also?
No, it's not. And I'm very happy it's not, because Android has many problems and it can be that secure. And actually, BlackBerry made some mistakes in security lately. But Weissman said once, I'm not sure who I'm quoting right now, but if you have secure business to do and private business to do on mobiles, you are already wrong. So just don't. Basically, the most secure right now are the iPhone and the BlackBerry, I think. Android just has so many problems, and it's device specific pretty much. Andrew Gale, yes, I'm sometimes there too. Hey, we will talk about this later if cool. So jump to privacy section of my today's, I don't know, podcast or something like that. Google is trying to deliver high-speed 5G internet, and the only problem is that any data you use by 5G will go through drones that are Google owned, and then your data may be not connected to you, but will go through Google's systems, and it will get all the data about you and what you use and everything. Maybe it's not that critical. Maybe I'm just overreacting it, but I'm pretty sure that that these drones won't just be up there for free. So they will at least use it for their artificial intelligence and like machine learning projects anonymously.
So this is saying 5G. So right now, everyone has access to 3G on their phones almost all the time. 4G when you're in the right places. This is saying when you have a Google a Google drone, you would have access to 5G because the
Yeah, and testing is ending on July 2016, and I guess it will be a good 1-2 years before it actually starts, but it can be a huge risk. And for example, for those who want to stay anonym with Tor and stuff like that, it may be harder. I'm not sure how their infrastructure is set up, but I don't know. Private, it will kill private things.
So eyes in the sky, drone equipped with cyber weapons. Eyes in the sky now have hacking skills.
Yeah.
Wow.
The next thing that's a huge problem right now is WhatsApp that will share all your data that you have on WhatsApp right now with Facebook. I'm not a WhatsApp user, but yeah, it's in their new privacy policy and terms of use.
That's one app I'm good.
And it's actually pre-checked with the newest update. So you need to uncheck a thing that
to share user data with Facebook. What are they doing?
I'm not sure.
They need to just keep it simple. You know, it's like $1. They dropped it. They're just playing with the revenue model right now. They need to make money.
That's what it really comes down to. I mean, when you start giving away information like that, it's principally about the revenue, and they're getting something from Facebook for that. So, and Facebook, I mean, for being as big a behemoth as Facebook is, and having some good apps that they do, they don't necessarily have people's attention. So they're trying to find the places that have people's attention, like Instagram. Instagram still, even though Facebook acquired it, still has a lot of people's attention, and because it has a lot of people's attention, it becomes a very
Yeah, well, actually, when Facebook was just 1 year old or 2, Mark Zuckerberg was telling something like this, that like writing a mail to his friend, "Hey man, all these people are trusting me with their data. What is happening?" And it was him who wrote it, and it was very strange to see it like 10 years later. I'm jumping onto the question right now.
What's the number one way people can protect themselves online?
There is not one way. You can't just protect yourself with like doing one thing. If it was that easy, well, I don't know. Unplug your internet and probably your power too, and just sit in your room and try not to think about anything dangerous. So yeah, that can be a way.
Lazo, I had to face this the other day, which you said just, I guess, be anonymous as much as possible. Try not to connect your identity with what you're doing online. But I mean, now that you have this hacker eye in the sky type thing, it really doesn't matter.
I mean, I think it still matters. Like, you shouldn't just say, okay, I remember the guy.
Here's my social security number.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. Here's my social security number. Go try it.
Well, it's probably all. Okay, I got another question, I guess.
No, the average person does not care about cybersecurity.
Heck, the average small company doesn't care about it. So forget the average person. You take it down to the average small business, and there are more small businesses than there are big businesses. So there's actual total vulnerability on small.
Yeah, and people trust their passwords and trust companies with their data all the time. So even people who know it, I need to trust Amazon with my data because I want to buy a thing from them. And so even those who know what is going on can't protect themselves completely against it. Well, actually there is a way, but it's very risky, and very, very hard to do. Like you need to you need to grab a Linux laptop, you need to set up whole VPN and some darknet proxies with Bitcoin that you mined before. You need to chain each of your connections through those servers that you pay with Bitcoin that wasn't associated with you in any way. You need to, of course, for this access Tor and probably some VPN that you think you trust, or well, any VPN. They can't really give out Tor info for you that much, or others, and yeah, that way you can possibly be secured on the darknet. But unlike the real net that we see right now, it's not really possible with the current technology. Darknet is much more secure, but at the same time, it's much more dangerous.
I mean, you have to actually understand what you're doing to even get to the darknet. So,
yeah,
that's point one. Like the average person, the average person not only doesn't care about cybersecurity, but has no idea how to get to the darknet.
What's the password to get there? I'm joking. Moving on.
The easiest one is install a Linux on your computer. If you can't install Linux on your computer by your own, then you shouldn't visit that place often.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's the point. No one's going to do that unless there's no average
Okay.
person or company. They're
Okay.
just, I don't care. I don't know why, right? They should care. Everyone should care.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, maybe in a better age, some years later, some 10
golden
years
age.
later. Yeah. Next up is a company that isn't because of the company. Dashlane is some random small company. I haven't known them, but like this can be a good lesson for each small startup that is operating online right now. Dashlane has some sort of service that they are connecting storage systems. I'm not sure about this. I haven't researched on the company itself yet. But the fact is, the problem with them that they did is that someone submitted a support ticket for them. They had a problem and they supported on Twitter. And Dashlane replied like, okay, we sent an email to and his email, and then
They put it in.
some random text. Yeah, and they just put it his own email out randomly on the internet.
So
And it's
just
sweet.
to make sure I'm clear on Dashlane, Dashlane is basically a LastPass kind of application with your credit card.
Really? I don't know. I really didn't actually care about what they are doing, because any startup can do this mistake, and it's not because of the startup is bad or naturally some problems with it. It's because the support people are crazy and they don't know anything about cybersecurity.
It's the employee apathy thing. So I go back to this is sort of a direct correlation, but like one of the companies we talked to is in the space of dealing with employee apathy, and a lot of times employees they're not necessarily dumb as much as they just don't
You
care.
just don't care.
Yeah, and it's very strange that they have people don't really hear the things around them that is going on, and even an ordinary person in terms of cybersecurity, like I don't know, you or some viewers should know these things, because it can protect you from these attacks that is actually very easy to do, and people just don't care because it's not in the New York Times and not in the Huffington Post and magazines like that immediately get trillions and I don't know, lots of views. They just don't care. It's very strange.
But the sad thing about this is a place or a service that you can actually pay for. to connect
Yeah.
your Amazon, your PayPal, all these things that you use to be secure, which is Dropbox.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
all these are mediums for security. You use that because you don't want people to access your information. And then you pay for this service, and then they give your password and email
Yeah.
address on Twitter.
Well, I think my
Yeah,
hope is
and-
that was a one-person scenario because, again, similar to LastPass, I think one of the biggest challenges usually is you do all these things under LastPass or any of these platforms, and you can't get, you forget your LastPass password. That's the only password you want to remember. So
I don't even in this article it wasn't a one incident thing, I think.
Well, and then the thing that can come after this is even, let's say, in theory, their login and their whole platform is completely secured. No vulnerabilities, no security issues, nothing at all. So let's say they have this fully secured system and they give out this email. And this way, attacker can just brute force that email and guess the password from dictionary attacks or like randomly guessing with a machine, and it can actually get into the user profile pretty easily. I'm not sure if how secure the guy is, but if he has password with like 8 characters, it's some days, maybe 2 or 3. So yeah, next up, in
Well,
privacy.
I just want to say one really quick thing. The CEO of the company actually did apologize in the comments.
Yeah,
Emmanuel Shilly, and he basically posted a plan of what they're doing. He said it was a mistake, an honest mistake, but it was inexcusable. And they are doing social media training to be updated. He's trying to lay out a plan, and he's saying he's sorry that he's apologizing for it happening. So
yeah. I hope they won't make the same dumb mistake again because it was pretty dumb.
yeah.
So the next step that I linked
Okay.
is that a student tried to and actually is suing Google because Google was using Gmail account and was scanning his emails, and it actually used targeted advertising and stuff like that after the email scanning
Well, they do that. Is
Well,
this something new?
no, it's
to
not.
gain revenue.
It's been that they've been doing that since the beginning. Well, that's not true.
Yeah.
They've been doing that since they acquired DoubleClick, because DoubleClick did that since the beginning, and this is something that was done in the '90s. So the fact it's kind of like the woman who sued McDonald's for the coffee that was too hot. Okay,
Yeah.
So you spilled the coffee on your lap. I understand you burned your legs, but what did you want? Cold coffee?
Yes.
I mean, yeah,
Exactly.
You want free, really good email?
Yeah, exactly. You want a free, really good email. You expect me not to go through that email. Like, if you are not paying for it, then you are the product.
Yes. Yes.
So, there's no such thing as a free lunch.
Sometimes if you pay for it, you are the product. Sometimes, not
Yeah.
in every case, but sometimes.
No, I think in most cases you're correct. That's all. I agree.
Yeah. Next news in privacy section. The last news is that NSA is reorganizing. No one knows what this means. No one knows what is exactly happening, but they are up to something, and that's
They're
what,
up to no good. Okay.
yes.
What are your
So
thoughts?
many security researchers started to spread some. I don't know, how are these Illuminati things called?
Conspiracy theories?
Yes, conspiracy theories, and they are trying to guess what they are doing. But for sure, we only know that they are reorganizing the whole thing.
Okay, I think this will make it even harder to trust the NSA. In my book, Data and Goliath. I love that. Data and Goliath.
Yeah.
I recommended separating the attack and defense missions of the NSA even further, breaking up the agency.
Yeah, we are done with with random news. Now,
Okay.
some not privacy and not vulnerability related news. Here's a small project that actually a girl who I know and sometimes I talk to.
No one paying
made.
attention. But first, Andrew just said NSA is probably reorganizing with the focus on not getting caught again.
Yeah.
Oh, no, okay, sorry. Keep going.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
So the next thing I linked is if you open it in Chrome or Firefox and in some versions of Safari, it will pretty much tell you which sites you visited and which sites you didn't. Not like the exact links to like which posts, but the site, the URLs like Trello or Blab or stuff like that. I will try to tell you how this thing works.
Okay.
If you open it in Chrome or Firefox, it has a long list of URLs, like lots of news sites and lots of sites in general. And your browser immediately caches the HTTPS certificate and some other data about the site when you open it. Now, other data can be small and big, so it's not really trustable or reliable to try to get those. But when this with JavaScript tries to open a page, it can determine if the security certificates were saved and cached into the browser or not. So it's actually not an attack that you can't really defend against. The only way would be for browsers to even show cached security certificates the same time as non-cache security certificates. So it's a bit of a problem, and I'm sure some companies are using this to target ads, but Safari is pretty much secured against these, and the factory Android browser too, not Chrome and Firefox. It's just a fun little project. It's around for like some months now, I think. And none of these big browser creators paid attention. Pretty strange.
So this has to do with the caching certificate, or is it?
Yeah, it's SSL. I'm not sure if you.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So even if a site is HTTP, it has some kind of pre-cached info on Google servers and other servers and Mozilla servers, and the browser tries to validate those infos, and that's how the script works. If it can validate fast, you basically open that site because it was in your browser cached or on your hard drive. If it opens slow, then you haven't visited that site. That's it.
Oh, so that was the point, that you haven't, if it's open, so you haven't visited it before.
Yeah.
Okay. But I routinely clean my cache and I try to secure delete a lot of things. So.
But there's still cookies that remain, even though you clean the cache, because the sites themselves.
No, I secure delete. I go to the
access
cookies and then delete that stuff like that.
Monty, you can't access cookies from one site to another.
No.
So
I guess I was saying, if I've gone to the site, let's say even I'm going secure browsing, and I don't want any cookies on my system. From what I understood, the sites still know I've come to visit them. So even though, so there's still data there, even if I don't have cookies on my system, and they know that it's kind of like I didn't feel like a customer card when I went to Target or Walmart or one of those stores. But if I go to the cashier that I went to every time, I've gone there 10 times, I filled out no information. Everything's, anonymous. I paid cash.
Yeah.
Walmart, that cashier still knows who I am. They recognize me to some degree. I'm saying,
so what's that memory mechanism? What is that mechanism for memory on the computer? If it's not cookies, when we clean it out and it's not cache, what is the memory recognition?
Well, one is browser history. for example, if you open your history right now, you can see these small fav icons, like the web icons. They will show up. Like, I just have a LinkedIn page open right now, and it has that small eye and logo on top of the browser. Those things are stored on the hard drive, and even if you clear your cache and stuff like that, they, in some browsers, in Safari, I think they are cleared, but in Firefox, I'm not sure if they are cleared or not. I would need to research on this. I don't want to spread false info.
Rumors.
Right.
But there are stuff that that is stored and isn't a security vulnerability that is stored on your hard drive, or shouldn't be a security vulnerability.
That's interesting, because I mean, if it was me and I'm a hacker, I mean, if I was a hacker, but if I was like a black hat, I don't know, the bad hacker. If I was the bad hacker, I would figure out a way to say, okay, this thing is going to be stored on everybody's computer because they've gone to Walmart or Target. I want to be able to get access to that thing.
Well, first they need to get access to their computers, and if you have access to their computers, you have trillions of ways to exploit that computer. So this won't be your priority of exploiting that computer. So I'm not sure if this is if this can really be used practically against you, because yes, it can be, but people won't. I mean, black hats won't actually use it against you because.
But to me, it's like the simple thing. I mean, it's similar to going to a restaurant, and let's say it's a high-end restaurant. It's Ruth Chris or whatever it is, and you are paying the restaurant with your credit card. You know, some people pay with cash, some people pay with a credit card, debit card, whatever. If you go to one of the high-end restaurants and you're paying with your credit card, and it's a black card or whatever you want to call it, at that point in time, between you giving your card to the waitress, the waiter, and them going back to the place to make the charge, there's a massive element of vulnerability. And if this waiter or waitress sees that card and says, this person has a black card, you know what I'm going to do? I have a little swipe thing for me. For every black card I get $1,000. So I'm going to go ahead and swipe it. They're not even charging it initially. They're just swiping so they can actually copy the information, and then they actually do the regular transaction. They bring it back to you in your table. The transaction goes through. You leave. They leave. They've done this 10 times in a given day. They got a regular tip of $500 for that night, but they also got $10,000 for each one of these cards that they now give to this person because they swiped it. So my point about this is this little piece that we're saying is a cookie or this thing that stays there is like that waiter or waitress who you don't think much about them. But at the end of the day, if you're paying with a credit card and a credit card that you're going to have, high limit credit card, there's a huge vulnerability in that little transaction that's not thought about.
But actually, the stuff you don't even think about it. But sometimes when I'm asked to determine if workplace is secured or not, or just think about the restaurant, there are probably 5 or 6 waitresses. Just say there are 5 or 6. Maybe one of them occasionally use a Bluetooth headphone to communicate or to listen to music. And maybe they accidentally left it wide open to outsiders on their phone, either Android or iPhone. And maybe someone can access that Bluetooth, and if like the OS is outdated or not patched, etc., they can get into the restaurant system because maybe the employee is connected to the Wi-Fi of the restaurant. And from that, all data can be breached if not properly secured. And the thing is that most configurators who are setting up these networks think that, okay, if people just won't come in, they will try to come in from the router side. They will try to hack the Wi-Fi password. They will try to do lots of things, but not go through a device that was trusted. So yeah, it's a problem, and it's actually psychology about how you think about these things. I always thought that to be a good hacker, you really need to know what is going on in the mind of the person who has set up the whole secure system, which may not be secure, but he thinks it is secure.
So here's the interesting thing about security, cybersecurity, and the way we live our life. I think at every point or juncture in our lives, there are some sort of vulnerability hacks, I would say. So what would be the thing that you tell people to do, the basic 3 things to do so that they can continue to live their life in normal society and not be like the man with foil on their head in the corner of the room? Because it can get scary. Hey.
Use password sham where only 1 or 2 variables are changing. Like, I tell you an example because this can seem super magic or something like that, but it actually isn't. Like, we have a sentence. This site, Forbes, is secure. Here, Forbes is a variable, which is the site. This is just a very basic example. But, for example, this can be a login info to Forbes. And on Twitter, you can use the same, like, this site, Twitter, is very secure. And if you do this, you have a 20 or I don't know how many characters long password, which is pretty cool. And if you use these dynamic variables and this properly, it will be super hard for hackers to guess it, because first they need to guess 2 of your passwords, and then they should recognize the pattern. I use a pattern for this with 2 variables in it for each site I left. So this way, each of my passwords are unique, but super easy to remember. And I use actually a Hungarian sentence, a pretty long sentence. So it's easy for me to memorize, but for a hacker, it does not mean a thing.
I'm going to use something no, I shouldn't even say. Oh, wait, yes, I'm going to use something in my language that has nothing to do with the English alphabet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you know a different language, it can be a pretty big help in these.
Yeah, I've seen the Twitter
password security.
I've seen that Twitter 2-step verification thing. It's been pretty annoying, but it works. So, and it's always interesting to me because initially when I saw the 2-step verification, I was like, "What the heck is this? And why are you doing this?" But I mean, I got it.
It protects you against social engineering a lot. Like when people randomly communicate with the company and say that they are you and try to get your data and try to like guess your password from that data and stuff like that. There are many social engineers who are very, very good at these things. I'm not. I'm mostly like a technical person, so I can't really tell a lot about their tactics, but 2-factor authentication stops most of them, or like 99% on services that use 2-factor authentication. So it's not a huge hassle, and if you want your data secured, it's a plus step to follow.
I think I'm gonna make everything.
Oh.
This is a question I
You
get.
just told everyone that.
Well, it's not the word Haragi, but
Yeah.
So how safe would you say password managers are? I think we just talked about that earlier.
They are not safe. Nothing is safe. The only thing that you can trust is your mind right now.
Laszlo, I said without the tinfoil hat in the corner of the room. What's the second?
Laszlo's pretty much saying you gotta have the tinfoil hat and be offline. Go to the dark web. Get one of the computers that's not a Mac. Stay away from Apple, Android, LG.
I'm still waiting on the password
BlackBerry
for the dark
10. Not the BlackBerry, the current BlackBerry, which looks super cool. Get the BlackBerry.
But you know what I love about him is that he's not just someone who knows about cybersecurity. He's someone who practices it. And I think
actually, Phoenix Tiers 321. Actually, even if you are not connected, drones and stuff like that can scan through your house and know where you are exactly. So, and if you are not connected, but like go outside and face a public camera, people can follow you through it.
It's like person of interest.
It is.
Yeah.
It is now. And then now you see the drones.
There was a camera dump on some platform a week or two ago, where there were released like 10,000 public cameras in America. It was pretty huge. I will try to look it up.
And you know what's crazy is that when you use Google image search, it acts like it doesn't work. But I know they got like better technology back there. They're like, oh, here's a similar picture, and you have similar colors. But in actuality, they are smarter than they appear to be.
No, I mean Google just doesn't want to release the information. At the end of the day, you're being sarcastic. Yeah.
Yes, I am. Hey, Herbie, thanks for joining us.
I'm not sure I can find this now, but maybe I will try to like tweet it for you, and you can share it. Anyway, next up, because we have some news left.
Okay.
Bank of America basically set an unlimited cybersecurity budget.
So, Bank of America is like the worst cybersecurity company I could ever imagine. And this is a real Bank of America story, and I really could care less about them as a whole. Before you even tell the story, I got to tell mine. Because I was getting a mortgage with Bank of America, first mortgage I ever got in my life. And in the process of getting the mortgage, they sent me the entire documentation, social security number, address, all the paperwork of another person's mortgage. just sent it to them. Like, here you go ahead and take it. Cool. And I was amazed. It was like their name, their driver's license, everything in the entire process. That's what they sent to me. And from then on, I was like, I don't trust Bank of America with anything. I just wouldn't. There's no reason to. So Forget the cyber hacks. Their incompetence on a base level.
Yeah, and many companies are like this because humans do these things still, and like a robot can't yet pack, or I mean, a bank won't buy a robot that can sort and pack stuff without any problems, and humans do mistakes. Next up is actually good news, which is not usual around here. Cisco has Cisco.
No, so the funny thing is, Cisco is actually from San Francisco, even though they're actually not there. But they call themselves Cisco, so you think it's about routers. It's really about the city.
Yeah, Cisco has a pretty good blog. I'm reading it sometimes, and they have good content on how to secure yourself and your organization. It's mostly about securing organizations. And some of the blog posts are like, buy this and this and this because it's very good to you, and buy this and this because it's secure. So they are pretty much advertising their products. But some blog posts are golden, and they really teach you a bit of information that you can use later to secure yourself. And it's super easy to read these. It's not a huge reading. And I really suggest everyone to look up Cisco blogs and just, read around, because you can learn a lot.
Also, do you blog for Cisco by any chance?
No. Nope.
Do you blog for anyone? Do you blog for anyone?
Well, I have a Medium blog, but it's not cybersecurity related. I'm trying to launch this cybersecurity newsletter right now. I have contacted some people, but this is in work, and I'm not really into blogging. Tweeting seems a better concept for me.
Short and to the point. Okay, sorry. I just had to throw that in there. Okay, so do you have any more news for us today, Laszlo?
Yes, actually 3 more.
Awesome.
The next up, just very fast. A hacker could hack NASA and could hijack a drone. which was worth $222 million.
And now, are they playing with it now?
Are you saying could?
Did this week, like on Friday, and actually they dumped I don't know, lots of stolen data, like names and email addresses and numbers of 2,000 NASA employees, and inner data sets, just randomly to the internet, because why not?
So how often are these
So-
hackers
But
like
why
actual
is it-
employees of NASA or actual
Yeah.
employees of the company? Like it's in.
Well, they needed to get into the infrastructure. I think they were in the infrastructure like for a very long time, and they were just looking out for people, what they are doing, how these things are built up, and if you are inside the system for 1 year unnoticed, then you can get many trusted data, and then after that you can proceed to try to understand the logic of people who are securing the system, because you see it live how they try to secure it against you. But if you are inside and you have set up, for example, a little hole for yourself that you can access later on, then you can proceed and you can understand the logic of people around there. You can try to guess how many people are doing it, how many people are actually securing the system, how many are developing, stuff like that, and then you can have access to anything, basically.
So I think it's interesting because this group of hackers, they had an intention. It wasn't they were just doing it for fun. It wasn't a joke. They are trying to put out the message that they intend that the U.S. government is sort of spreading harsh chemicals into the air to control the weather, and that you can see the results.
The strange thing. Yeah, and the strange thing is that the drone that they hacked was also used for surveillance, so it was spying on people.
Yeah.
And probably that drone wasn't spying, because NASA has many of these records about what they are doing online, publicly available.
Mm-hmm.
But many of that type of drone was actually spying, and it's confirmed that they were spying. So that's why they really didn't know if it was spying or not. They just tried to shut it down, and yeah, NASA could save that $200 million loss. But
they should have given it to us, and we would have cared just a little bit more.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I'm joking, Laszlo.
Yeah, another two news are remaining, and one is that energy companies have many energy companies have bad cybersecurity. A lot of them. And it's a huge problem, because energy companies have your data, have your home address, have your home ID, and hackers can just shut down electricity in your home if they actually can attack you. So yeah, for example, in Ukraine, power plant was hacked. It was called the Black Energy malware, and 700,000 customers were left without electricity for some days. I don't know. It was in Ukraine, but anyone could do it. The fun thing is that any security researcher could do it, because it was trivial and they really didn't care about it.
700,000 customers without electricity.
Right, so that's something I'm sitting back and saying. That's a massive amount of customers. And how big is Crimea? I'm sorry. How big?
I'm not sure. About 20 or 30 million people.
Yeah, so that would be. No, but you got to go back proportionally. So if it was like the United States with 300 million, proportionally that would be like 20 million people that are out of power.
Yeah.
Like 1% would be, Yeah, 1% would have been 2 million. So it's like, a little less than half of 1%. So still, it's a massive.
Yeah.
Well, here's my concern is that, I mean, I know this is a fictional story, but what is it? Atlas Shrugged, right?
Atlas Shrugged.
So I'm going to stop the motor of the world, and we're going to do that with power, utilities and exports and imports. And if it's so vulnerable.
Well, Atlas Shrugged also has, the one thing about Atlas Shrugged is the factor is that it's the key man scenario. So the assumption is that Atlas actually is the one that is the key linchpin to doing it. And if Atlas goes away, nobody else knows how to. So in this case, it's the technology that's Atlas. It's.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that now if there was someone who was interested in doing such a thing, that it's completely vulnerable in the entire world.
Guys, back to some of the other news. I was just I just randomly found the cameras that were dumped online. It's actually 73,000 cameras that can be accessed online, and anyone can access them. And the software that they are running exposes the whole internet and the whole network. So actually not the cameras are insecure, but those which are in homes and not like in public places, can actually be used against that network to hijack the Wi-Fi and like the internet network.
70.
Yes, I think it's only in America, but I'm not sure. I think it's in America.
The camera on my computer, I should always have it covered or something.
No, not that type of camera.
Oh, like
it's
like a separate.
It's IP cameras.
Oh.
Like from shops, and some people try to protect themselves against. I sometimes forget English names, but the people who try to break into
like home
homes,
security.
Yeah, it can be used for home security. And yeah,
it's interesting.
Yeah, and it's interesting because
it's actually less secure.
Sorry, I think about the last a couple of movies that actually show the cameras that pan across the house, and it makes you feel secure. But that's
nope. It can be used against you because they can actually check if you are at home or not and stuff like that, and they can just turn it off because if you look at the pages they posted. These cameras sometimes have their whole control panel online, and you can just move the camera around or just turn it off and stuff like that, and then recording is stopped. You can't do anything about it.
Yeah, I know someone who actually has those cameras that he can manage it from a remote system, like for a business, so it can turn the cameras around, and he has it all set up. So if he can do it, whoever is trying to hack that system can do it as well.
Yes, exactly. So I never trusted these cameras because their softwares are for recording, and these are optimized by their storage is optimized for recording for every bit they can record, but they are not at all optimized for security. And most of these are made by Chinese companies who just don't care, just throw out another million of these cameras around, and So the last post that is happening, it was a pretty huge week from cybersecurity.
Really? Hey, Eileen. Hi, Eileen. How are you?
Hey there. This is actually good news again. Which can be strange.
We are on our last piece of hacker news today, or cybersecurity. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah. So MIT is developing RFID chips that can't be hacked. I'm skeptical about this statement. I almost don't know anything about RFID chips because I just don't care about hardware. But if it's really true, then your banking will be a lot more secure. Your your mobile will communicate, the microchips will communicate with each other in a much more secure way. So it would be cool if this was true. I really don't know if this is true.
So
I can't.
They're creating hack-proof RFID chips, or
Yes.
it is because it's RFID chips scare me, quite frankly, because no, I'm being very honest. Because I mean, I'm former military, and who hasn't watched Manchurian Candidate? And these are things that can be implanted, just as the article said, in your hand, on cards.
Yes.
It can be scanned on machines. Like even if the card is not touching the machine, it can just be in a carrying device in your wallet, and it can scan just passing through the machine. So they scare me, quite frankly. But I mean, I'm going to admit that yes, I can see how, just like we've strengthened passports down to sort of an ID size, I can admit that it can do some really cool things. So I'm not sure what.
Yeah. Well, if anything that says hack proof is can be like, I'm really skeptical about hack proof things.
Yeah.
But MIT is a big name to know what they are doing. I'm not sure. I really don't know. I'm not into hardware, and I don't know anything about hardware hacking, or almost anything about hardware hacking. We will see in years when these will get implemented.
Do you have experience with RFID chips, Monty?
No.
No.
I mean, I have experience with chips to a major degree, because I was over at Intel, and that's all we did was kind of the chips. And then we went to the hackathon, and the hackers were taking everything apart. And we were in like the room.
Monty.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Monty.
Yep.
Do you have a MacBook?
Yes. Yes.
Then you have an RFID chip, because your MacBook has an RFID chip in it.
I thought you meant like in the actual working with it in the actual computer.
What do you mean?
Meaning the actual chips inside.
Yeah. There is an RFID chip inside.
Gotcha.
So yeah, pretty much everyone is carrying around these chips. It can be used for many things, and this can be also used as an attacking, platform.
Interesting.
But we will see if MIT can work something out to stop these attacks.
We actually know there's an MIT chief technology officer, so someone who maybe we can see and look more into. But when I hear the RFID chips, especially the one mentioned in this article, it's talking about those tiny chips used with specific data sets for a specific purpose. And
right, I was thinking
not
like
necessarily inside a computer or inside a tablet. I was thinking something more along the lines of on a card or implanted,
or the Raspberry Pis, or
yes,
those
yes.
kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just sent you my email.
Okay.
You can reach me there on Twitter or private message.
Okay.
Andre, if you need it, I can send it to you too.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I got it, she got it, so it's all the same.
Yeah. Okay. So you can reach me there, and I think I'm done with my news for this week.
Okay. So I appreciate you being on here. We had. Go ahead, Monty.
A very long podcast.
Yeah. So
it was fun. It's
yes, it is.
Thing,
it's always fun. It's always fun. Mm-hmm. And Eileen, I do have the other profile. I just kind of go there, but this is like my main profile for what we actually do.
This is his alter ego, and he has another alter ego. Eileen's coming on. Laszlo, cool. I just wanted to let you know we appreciate you, and thank you so much for being here. Miss Eileen.
Thanks. Hey, how are you?
So before Miss Eileen, 1 second before Laszlo goes, because I know he needs to hop on or hop off. If people want to reach you, how should they reach you? On Twitter or any other?
They can always tweet me, I think. I'm not sure if I should just throw out my mail right here, but I will do a security-focused mail that is like public. and
Okay.
I will just throw it out in some other blabs, and you can catch me on Slack too. I'm in multiple Slack rooms. Like I write down some.
Okay.
Awesome.
I'm not even sure.
We'll put it in show notes.
Yes, we will. So thank you again,
Please
Lazo,
do.
and we'll see you again next week this time, or next
Yeah,
week.
we can do it next week this time.
Awesome. Take
Very
care.
cool.
Cool. Take care. You too. Be secure.
Nice
All right, good to
sort
see
of
you,
be
Lazo.
Sort of be him, right? Hi, Miss Eileen. How are you?
Hi, I really need to know more about this topic. So, I know that you were doing these blabs, but this one right here, I'm going to give him a spanking because, and I said to myself, he looks so familiar. And now I know where I know him from because you weren't, Andrea, you weren't in the blab yesterday. And he was on the other profile.
Other
He was
profile,
just
other
being-
computer, the whole.
And he
So this
was
is my
like-
main computer, but that's the other computer.
And he was like, yes, I follow you and all this. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is nice to know somebody follows me that I don't even know who they are. Duh.
Funny.
'Cause-
Yeah.
Okay, am I saying it right? Is it Andrea or Andrea, or do you care?
It's Andrea, but I don't really
I say it wrong all
care.
the time, so I'm just.
He
I'm
says
that
it.
guy.
Well, if I
Yeah,
call you
he's
Naomi,
that guy. That's fine too. I like have multiple names. I'm cool.
but I'm only calling him
Cybersecurity.
Monty. I don't care what profile you
Other people
fine.
get caught that way too. They're like, who?
Okay,
Who is that?
so you guys have been doing this show for how long now?
Just, I mean, 2 or 3 weeks now. Just
Oh,
That's
okay.
it. Once
This
a
we
week.
had another
particular
show
one.
before.
We're still startup hour, so we've been doing it since October. But this particular one on cybersecurity has been for like 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay, that is the startup hour that I'm talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
that's been for months.
okay.
Yes, for months. And that's where I know you originally from, Monty, but I've been knowing Andrea for ages. And I remember when you were scared to get on camera.
Yeah, I was like, dude, look at
And
it.
when you first got on Blab, I was like, you got to get on, because I was like, we already knew each other. And then I was like, come on. And then next thing I know, when you got on with in a Blab that I was on one day, I don't know if it was mine or not. And then next thing I know, you hosting Blabs. I'm like, damn.
This girl is addicted.
It was funny because yesterday that was what the Blab was about, getting in front of the camera and building your confidence. So I put the podcast out today too, Monty, by the way.
Awesome.
So, and you were in the back of my mind. You were one of the people that I was thinking about, and I feel, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like I had a little bit of encouragement
You
there
did.
for you. Okay.
Mhm.
I came to Blab because of you, Miss Eileen. Like, you were on Periscope and you're like, I know of this new platform called Blab.im. You should come check it out. And I'm like, I'm going to Blab. So I went to Blab.
And
then I
you
met
are
you.
a rock star here, girl. First of all, you're gorgeous.
Thank
Absolutely
you.
gorgeous. Sweetie. What city are you in?
I'm in Guam, actually.
Okay, you're in Guam. Okay.
Right.
But
Now
what's the name of the city?
starting to make sense.
Yes. What's the name of
It's,
the city?
well, I live in a village. It's a village.
Okay, wow.
It's a village. Where that looks, it's in Arakan.
You got
Which
good
is how-
internet though.
I'm hardwired and everything. So
Oh,
it's probably
okay.
one of the Google drones.
But no, seriously, but at least okay, you're hardwired, but still at least your video is really clear and you're not on a delay or anything. You look gorgeous.
Thank you.
She's got a
you
Mac
too.
computer or something, some kind of Mac. Is it a Mac Pro or which Mac is it?
Oh, this one is the iMac.
Oh, you got the real iMac. Okay. Yeah, but but that doesn't matter. That part doesn't matter. People on PCs are just as good. It's really about the strength of the internet connection.
That's true.
that you have. That's the real. Now, when it comes to the phone, you need to be on an iPhone. So I see people faking the funk on there, and then they complain. Well, I can't hear so and so. Yeah, because you're on your Android. It's not gonna work.
Yeah. Android,
So that's the whole
iPhone
thing. Like,
struggles.
I knew Laszlo was going to say something because we were actually that's part of
Laszlo's-
what we were talking about was the whole security component of which phones and which devices you should actually be on.
Yeah, well,
1
you
gigabyte internet connection.
sounded great. Yeah, his voice sounded great. And so, did you guys meet him here on Blab or?
Mhm.
See,
Yes.
Blab is great for bringing good people together. So I'm glad you guys are all connected and everything.
Thank
All
you. We're
right.
connected. You're a great person, and that you're predominantly the reason why I'm here. I found this from you. So, great minds think alike.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, it's been wonderful hanging out with you guys. And now I know. So you usually do it on Sundays, right? The
This-
cyber part.
Yes.
The cyber one, yes.
Okay, because that I'm more. I don't need to get down deep into it, but I need to have at least like a cursory, like the news that you guys were going. I wish I had been here at the beginning, but I was editing a video.
Yay. So, what are the cybersecurity issues that you're most concerned with? I think that
Well,
would be.
just on a personal level, because like you guys were talking about the chips right now. When I use my American Express card, which I use all the time, by the way,
Mhm.
I have to stick it in, and then it says, please don't remove card. Please don't remove card. Please. And I'm like, well, every time I see a message flash up, because, doing it the old way, usually when you swipe and it'll say your payment is done. So
Yeah.
I was trained to a message pops up. That means I'm done. But no, now message pops up. The message is don't remove your card. And I'm like, so of
Maybe
course
that's
I
one of the
removed
things
my
we can
card.
talk about with Laszlo next week, and it's really kind of talk about the new way people are using credit cards, because I think it is something that's really confusing between that and the Apple Pay and the Android Pay, and there's a whole different way to do things.
You really missed 90%. Okay, but she recorded it though.
Yes.
At least
Yeah.
during next.
She'll be
Okay,
with you.
yeah. Okay, and I definitely want to hear about the Amazon because I'm
Oh
on
my
Amazon.
God, that was scary. Between
Yeah, so
Amazon and Google, you're going to start wearing a silver hat and hiding in the whole nine.
Miss Eileen, I was telling Lasso, what are the 3 tips you can give regular people aside from wearing the silver hat and hiding in the corner like this? Right? Because we're regular folks. I'm still waiting for the black hat password right now.
Right.
But what's the black web password?
Oh my gosh.
Right?
And
So,
another thing that I would love to hear more about too, when you're talking about this whole cybersecurity thing, is with the Internet of Things and how there was a time when I actually did a blab on that. So I had to do some research because I didn't know a darn thing about it. But then, it all got away from me. That was like in the early days, because one of the times when Sean had a town hall, he was like, stop blabbing about blab. And I was like, is he talking to me? So I was like, the very next morning, I was like, all right, I got to think of something intelligent. So, and at work, I come in contact with it as well, because we deal with like 3D printing standards, and now the next thing is smart textiles and smart manufacturing. All this stuff kind of, works together. So anyway, I will be looking forward to whatever you guys talk about, and see how I can weave it into my brain. I'll just, like I said, I'll be like on a cursory level. When y'all start getting deep, I'll be like, all right, y'all, be back.
Laszlo's the guru. He's truly the guru.
Yeah,
So
he really is.
we're feeding off of his knowledge and continuing to learn. So this is a show about the cyber tech that Laszlo knows.
Okay, so I'm following him on Twitter. Oh, I already did it. Okay, guys, have a wonderful evening. And nobody's watching the game tonight, right?
I'm watching it.
we're watching,
Yeah.
I guess. I'm going to be watching the commercials.
Exactly. It's about the commercial.
I would love it if somebody could ping me right at halftime.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I'd be like, okay, back to normal. All right, y'all.
Next regular time.
Good to see you.
Take care.
Cool.
Okay. Oh, we're gonna close the show out. So, you ready? Okay. Thank you for joining us. We just had Miss Eileen pop on. She is a wonderful personality and a great person on the internet to know about social media marketing. So
I got the message on Twitter. I will make sure Andrea has it too. So we will be absolutely in touch, which is awesome.
Okay, thanks, Lazo, and we will see you again next week. Same time, same bat channel, right?
Yep.
Oh, it's supposed to be same bat time, same bat channel.
Bat channel. Yep.
It happens. Okay, take care. Send me that black hat password. What is it? The black web password.
Black hat.
Okay.
Black web. It's all the same. All right. Bye.